Let's get more on Donald Trump's victory. I'm joined in the studio by Michael Green, who's head of the US Studies Centre at the University of Sydney. Very good to see you, Michael. Thanks so much for coming in. So has the dust settled? How are you feeling about the result?
Well, it was always going to be close. It just was a little less close than people expected. Look, Donald Trump, in what was a very clean and fair and well-run election, won the popular vote, the Electoral College, all the swing states, the Senate, and it looks like the House. He outperformed Republican candidates going back a generation in every category. He pulled African Americans, Hispanics, younger voters, union voters away from the Democrats. But it was the economy, or as James Carville, Bill Clinton's advisor, said, it's the economy, stupid. That is the biggest explanation for what happened here. And something you see in other countries as well.
So was that something that Kamala Harris missed?
I think what she missed was how much constituencies that they thought were loyal to the Democratic Party were unhappy with Joe Biden and with her for not doing more to reduce the price of milk, $9 for a gallon of milk, for not doing more about the border. The Biden administration could have done a lot more to deal with the illegal immigration. It chose not to, and paid the price. And the inflation problem, if you're an incumbent, it's awfully hard. And a lot of governments are finding that.
So did Kamala Harris also not have enough time to get people behind her or to differentiate herself from Joe Biden?
Well, the macro explanation is the economy, as it was in the Japanese election, in the French election, in the upcoming Canadian election. But Democrats will be wondering what they got wrong, and probably the biggest one was, should they have stuck with Joe Biden as long as they did? That's going to be one you'll be hearing about a long time.
So as you touched on there, the Republicans and Donald Trump have won control of the Senate. Votes for the House are still being counted, I believe. Do you think it's likely that Trump will also gain control of the House? Because that would give him a clear run for his agenda.
I'm going to answer it with a slightly different formulation. Trump won't gain control of the House. The Republicans will gain control of the House. It's not a Westminster parliamentary system. And I think Donald Trump will be surprised how often his agenda changes in the Congress or in the Senate, even though it's his own party. The institutional checks and balances are not a blank check. In some areas they will be. You know, I think Supreme Court people are worried about with Donald Trump because the Senate will confirm his justices. That has some people worried about reproductive rights and other things. But on defense spending, on trade, you will find there's a lot more tussle than you get in a Westminster system because the institutions are separate under the Constitution.
Which is good if there's more tussle.
Yes. Americans like leaders who talk about doing big, dramatic things and institutions that get in the way.
All right, let's talk about what sort of presidency we can expect from Donald Trump. Second time around, of course. What will be his priorities and how quickly will he start acting on those? Because first time round, he was straight out of the blocks, wasn't he? Executive orders from the word go, basically, in 2016.
Last time he was completely unprepared. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't expect to win. This time, there are people who have prepared. Most of the world media has focused on the so-called Project 2025, this quite radical, extreme agenda being prepared by the Heritage Foundation. And they have not paid attention to another think tank called the America First Policy Institute. And that group is actually writing the blueprint. And you can see it online. It's the American Foreign Policy Institute. And I think Australians will read some of it and think, yeah, that's reasonable. In defense, for example, perhaps in foreign affairs, they'll read other parts and think it's extreme. He won't be able to do all of it. A lot will depend on who goes into the government, who gets what positions. Are they members of the Senate who are kind of traditionalists on foreign policy and defense, or are they Make America Great Again movement conservatives who want to go in and shake things up? There's going to be a lot of attention on who gets what job going forward. And
what will his win mean for Australia, Mike?
Well, unbalanced, the alliance is going to be strong. There's a lot more to it than one man. We do surveys on this at the US Studies Center, and support for the alliance is robust. It goes down a bit with the public. We asked before the election, if Donald Trump wins, do you still support the alliance? It goes down a bit, but pretty solid. Defense should be okay. Climate, big difference. Tough for the Albanese government. Tariffs, a big topic, but Wall Street had its best day in 2 years, in part tax cuts, deregulation, and their guess, the investors guess, that he's not going to put tariffs on everyone, but we'll see.
And what now for the Democratic Party?
Soul searching and a big fight. the left, Bernie Sanders will say we need more government, more socialism. The centrists will say, no, we need more attention to opportunities economically. There will be a bit of an internal fight, as always happens when parties lose.
Michael Green, very good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.